Hi, it is Jennifer Irwin from jenniferlifecoaching.com, and I am here today for day 3 in this free series on how to tame your inner critic and awaken your best friend. And this series is designed for women who are smart, high achieving, highly caring women, big hearts, show up in big ways for others, but really struggle to turn that same care and understanding and empathy that they so freely give others towards themselves. So they often struggle with perfectionism, lapses in confidence, feeling uncertain, feeling like they've done a lot of personal development work but aren't getting the kind of traction that they need. And so this series is all for you if you are feeling lost and needing some ways to start to develop that sense of like lasting confidence and security in yourself and just inner peace. You are in the right spot. So on day one, I introduced myself and I talked about my own journey with being a high achiever. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I've done a whole heck of a lot of personal development work. And I stumbled upon a system that really worked for me to tame my inner critic, who was really holding me back and driving my life in ways that I didn't enjoy, that were draining for me, and really find my way back home so that I could start to develop the friend inside, the best friend within, that really has become my own cheerleader and my source of support and nurturance, so that I can move forward. So my inner critic isn't so loud, and I really have this friend inside that helps, encourages me, and helps me experience a lot more peace and satisfaction in my life on a daily basis. So that's what we're here about. This path has helped me. It has helped others, clients, and students that I've worked with. And so I'm glad you're here. And I hope what we share here today supports you on your path. So we are really talking today about why we have an inner critic. So why is she here? What's her role? What's up with her? And then what we need to do to start to tame her. Because if you're anything like I was, she is running the show. She maybe isn't always in the foreground, but she's right there playing her tapes of you're not enough, you're a failure, you got to do more. This might not work, we got to plan more. So whatever flavor she has, there's always different archetypes that different people have, but they show up in really similar ways. However she shows up, I know what happens is that it's like having a foot on the brake when you're trying to move forward in your life. So you've got one hand on the gas and one hand on the brakes because your inner critic's pushing down hard. So we're going to talk about where she came from, why she's pushing so hard on those brakes, and some really simple steps that we can start to take in order to tame her. All right, so why do we have an inner critic? And there are lots of ideas about this that you can delve into, but what I've found that's been true for me and the people that I've worked with, the women that I've worked with, is that our critics developed usually when we were young in order to protect us and keep us safe and to help us belong. So that's a part of safety, is that when we are young and our brains are still under construction, we make meaning out of what we experience, and we're trying always to keep ourselves safe. So we're always asking these questions: am I safe? Am I cared for? Do I belong? Are my needs going to get met? And oftentimes we have a person in our life, it could be a parent or a teacher or another person that was really influential, that maybe used some harshness to get our attention, to try and motivate us to do things. So we get that from the outside too, that our world is really based on this idea that if we create some pain through punishment, through threat, through kind of negative energy, that is going to help motivate us to do the right thing. So we incorporate that into our lives, into our brains that are under construction, and we're always trying to figure out, what can I do to stay safe? We all have this part of ourselves that's like, that's on kind of high alert. That's like, what do we want to do? I want to make sure I stay in the group, that I stay safe, that people stay caring for me. So we grow this part of ourselves that starts to develop that really is very concerned about what others might think of us, how we can modify our own behavior to fit in, to make sure that others offer us the care and attention that we need, that we don't get kicked out of the group. And some of this is good. I mean, there are some good behaviors that come from it. The problem is that it feels icky. If your inner critic is like mine, she shows up as harsh and mean and says things, and it's in this effort to really motivate and drive me. But the problem is that it's so negative that it motivates me a little bit, and then it also takes a whole lot. So it's a little bit motivating. It keeps me on the edge of anxiety, of worry, of trying my best, but it also leaves me with this frantic feeling like I just can't get enough traction. I can't let go for a second. Otherwise, things might fall apart. So I want us right now to check in. If you've got an inner critic, how is it that she shows up for you? So does she show up as really anxious? Does she show up as very worried? Does she show up as really mean? Maybe she shows up in all these ways. I know my critic can have multiple faces that shows up. But just notice, what is the language that she says? So I know for me, my critic has this like little tape that says, not enough, you're not doing enough. If you don't do more, you're going to fail and people will stop caring about you. You'll get kicked out. You won't belong. You won't get to where you want to go. So there's like this aspect of like belonging and acceptance that comes up for me. And also this aspect of like, we're not going to become the person that I'm meant to become. It's like this driver for growth and expansion, but it comes across in this really frantic and often cruel way of like, you got to do more to like reach a sense of worthiness. So I don't know if that comes up for you, but just take a moment. I'm going to take about 10 seconds, just get quiet. Think, what is the tape that your inner critic loves to play? Okay, now that you've just gotten in touch with that, I want you to think about what that voice, what its drive is, what's motivating it. So what is it feeling and what is it needing? Okay, so this is one part that we really want to get in touch with. So we have this inner critic. It's been working its hardest to try and keep us safe often, to help us belong. So what is it feeling? So just check in. What is that part of you feeling? Is it feeling anxious? Is it feeling worried? Is it feeling scared? Is it feeling frantic? Just tune into the emotional kind of sense that you have of this critic. Is it feeling angry? Whatever arises is okay. And it might be different in this moment than it might be later today, but just tune in this moment and see, just check in. I know for me, mine has this underlying sense of anxiety that something like the other shoe might drop. If I don't do the right thing, something might go wrong. That I might lose a sense of safety, like either physical and emotional safety, and then also this sense of like maybe not belonging in the group. That's what comes up really strong, is this feeling of anxiety and fear. So just name in your head to yourself, what feeling flavor is it that your inner critic drives itself on? And what need? So what I come from NVC, which is a perspective that talks a lot about feelings and needs, which are universal for all people, have these needs. And they're things like safety and security and belonging and love and beauty. So they're needs that everyone experiences at different times in different ways. So I want you to dive down underneath the feelings and get, what is my inner critic needing? What is it that she's longing for? I know my inner critic, when I tune in, she's saying, I want peace. I want a sense that everything's going to be okay, like some reassurance, and a sense that she belongs and is okay as she is. That's what comes up for me. What are those needs? So it's really about the security and belonging and a sense of well-being. So let's just take a couple minutes, not a couple minutes, about 10 seconds and tune back in. What is your inner critic needing? Underneath those feelings that arose for her, for this part of yourself, this aspect of yourself, what's underneath it? What's driving those feelings? What is she longing for? What does she really, really need? So once you've gotten a handle on that, and it's okay if you're getting a blank, that's okay. Just be patient. So much of my work and my own practice is about being okay in the unknown and just accepting and allowing and noticing what is. So if you're not getting answers, that's okay. First time you're doing this, maybe, that's all right. Allow that to be okay as well. All right, so if you've gotten a sense of your feelings, needs, what's going on for the inner critic, the last step to taming her, to really kind of moving her out of the driving seat in your mind and over to maybe the passenger seat or the back of the car. She's there for a reason. We don't want to get rid of her. We're going to love on her. So that's that last step, is that we can see clearly what's going on for her, what she's feeling and needing, why she developed what she's been doing in very flawed ways to keep us safe, to help us belong, these ways that were constructed when our brains were not fully developed. Okay, she was doing her best with the tools that she had to try and meet these needs and react to these feelings that were coming up. So we're going to really acknowledge that she's been doing her best. Even if it's been flawed and energy draining and frustrating, now that we're adults and we have our full capacity of our brain, we're just going to say, I see you. We're going to turn towards the inner critic and really look at her with love and understanding and especially gratitude and say, I see you. I see how hard you've been working. I care about these needs too. I care about safety and belonging and worthiness and feeling a sense of inner peace and knowing that I'm doing my best. So reassuring her and offering her gratitude for how hard she's been working with the tools she had available to help us. So we're going to just take a moment. I like to put my hand over my heart. If that feels good to you, go ahead and do that as well. And just imagine turning towards you as the centered adult, turning towards this inner critical part that you can now see is feeling scared or hurt or lonely or anxious because she's needing safety and security and belonging. Whatever came up for her, for your inner critic, just turn towards her and say, I see you. I see that you're longing for these things and that you've been doing your best to try and offer them to us. You've been doing your best to keep us safe, to help us belong, to ensure that we're doing our best in this world. I see you. I see your efforts. I thank you for your work. Thank you for trying your best. And then I want you to just notice, does she soften? Does she toughen up? Does she push back? So just turn towards and notice how she reacts and continue to offer that love, that care, that support, as long as you feel centered. So if you feel swept up in the inner critic, I really invite and strongly encourage you to stop, breathe, do whatever will center and ground you again before you connect back with your inner critic. So it is really essential that we're in a good spot when we try this, but really seeing her as someone who's been doing her best, but has had really flawed strategies at her disposal. She hasn't known a better way. And offering her gratitude for all the hard work in the past, maybe offering a sense that you're here now and you're going to try some new things together, that you're not trying to push her away, you're not trying to dismiss her, you're not trying to negate what she has been doing for so long, that you're on her side. You want the things that she wants. So really reassuring her and offering that support and saying, from this point, I see you, I'm going to offer you gratitude, but we might be taking a different path together to meet these needs that are so important to both of us. So those are the steps. This is really the whole process of really turning towards our inner critic and helping calm her down and working together to forge a new path. These are key. So the first step, bringing awareness. What does she sound like? What kind of words does she use? How do you feel in your body when your inner critic is really ramped up and going? Take notice of those things. First step is awareness. Second step is really understanding. Where is she coming from? What is she feeling? What's going on inside of her? What is it that she's longing for? Why is she so negative and critical? Why is she so anxious and frustrated? Whatever's going on, just really diving down into what is she feeling and what is she needing. And once you have that second step, really turning towards her with a lot of love and care and a gratitude, saying, I see you. I see your hard work. I thank you for that hard work. And just noticing what happens, seeing what kind of reaction you get from her. So those are the steps. I encourage you to try them out. Try them out at multiple times. Try them out when you are feeling rested and not hungry and well taken care of and centered in a safe space. And then see what it is. See what happens. And I'd love to know. Put what happens for you in the comments below. Share this video with someone else who you know has a rampant inner critic or even a small inner critic. These steps work whether our critic is loud or just subtle. These steps are really important in the foundation for making positive change happen in our lives. So thank you for watching. Again, Jennifer Irwin, Jennifer Life Coaching. Like this video, pass it on to others who you think it would be a benefit to, and I hope that you have some peace and sit down and have a conversation with your inner critic and start to find that peace within where you can really tame that inner voice. And I hope you'll join me on Friday when we're going to be talking about what steps we really need to take to get clarity and consistency when we're starting this work. Okay, until then, sending you so much love and care and peace. Bye.